All right, welcome everyone to week 2. Okay, so we have 2 labs this week just to kind of look. And again, if you're just trying to plan your schedule with your other classes, as you just scheduled our course schedule, but go ahead and just take a look at this. I'll update this as well as send out an update or email that I did update it every time I do. So this just gives us a quick thing. So we do have 2 labs this week. All right, so let's get into it. First thing I wanted, just because we had a few people turn in snapshots of the wrong viewer or browser, and that's typically normal or totally normal. When we install P6, you'll see, mine's already been showing up. Yep, good. I think I deleted it. But there's a P6 visualizer that also pops up. But we just want to make sure that we're always starting in P6 Professional. Okay, so click on this. That'll load you up. Type in your password if you use the same as mine. It was 123. And then a little error will pop up, and just hit OK to get us into this project. So we'll get into actually exporting projects today as well. We're going to do 2 things for our deliverables, which we'll look at. One is submitting a PDF. So that's kind of our owner view, executive view. We want it looking good so we can turn it into our boss or VPs or whatnot. But we're also going to learn how to export the file. And this is just how you save in P6. So right when I got in here, which is normal, it loaded me into my last project. So I want to create a new project. So hopefully we all remember, but P6 is all about these tabs up here. So I just have one tab open right now. So I'm going to go back to my project tab. There we go. Okay. And again, I have a lot more than you all, and that's totally fine, but here's the one I created last week. Awesome. So that was Lab 2, 422. I'm going to try to keep that naming convention the same. So I'm going to right-click or go over to my plus bar over here. So I'm going to right-click, add. So this one, oh yeah, and this is, again, what separates the Tesla from the, I forget my reference already, Cadillac. We're learning how to drive. But anyways, tons of features. We're just clicking through a few of these. The important one right here is this one, and this is Lab. I just have my schedule down here, so I'm naming them the same. Lab 3-422. And this is going to be organizing a schedule. Trying to use my small screen, so forgive my spelling error. All right, so the start date is going to be Monday of the following week. So that's going to be the 17th. So let's leave that as is, and really I can just hit finish as well. All right, so now hopefully yours are a little easier to find, but mine's down here, so Lab 3-422. So I'm going to click on that. It's highlighted in blue. Right-click, Open Project. Great. So now we got a brand new project, and you guys are all going to call me a parrot at the end of this quarter for hearing this, but we're always going to start in our WBS. That's just where I always want to start when I'm opening up a new project. So we have a clean slate here. And same step. So this is really the primary objective of, and we'll look at the assignment here shortly, of today's assignment. It's really just organizing these buckets, as I like to call them, but really just starting to figure out where we get our WBS structure from. And that's a terrible way to say it. WBS is our work breakdown structure. So where we get our WBS from, which we'll get into a little bit today. And you're just going to be building a very generic, I'm not going to get too into activities tonight or today. We'll be getting into that more as the quarter kind of keeps going, but today's main focus is WBS structure. So let's go ahead and look at this assignment. So this assignment down in week 2, week 3, organizing a schedule. So here we go. So learning objectives are understanding WBS. See, I even put it wrong there. That's okay. Whoops. So understanding WBS, I'll fix that. And organization. That's really how we organize our schedule. And through this lab, we're also going to continue to learn the basics of P6. So this is a level 3 schedule. We'll get into the different levels. It's typically 1 through 5. There's some more that you'll hear, different tiers of each of those levels. But as the levels increase, the more detail you get into. So level 1 is really our executive level view. Level 5 is our crew sizes, and when we really start diving into, which we will week 5, plugging in crew sizes, cost loads, and whatnot. So we're going to kind of create one tonight right in the middle. So we're just summarizing a lot of these big tasks, and I give you a few examples down here. And we're not trying to create this super long schedule. At least 25 activities, no more than 40, and you're just creating a schedule of your house. So wherever you are sitting right now, whether it be at your home in SLO or home wherever you may be, you're just going to go ahead and create a schedule of that building. So even if it's an apartment, a condo, a hotel, wherever you're at, you can create a very kind of basic level 3 schedule. If you have any more questions about the different levels, click on this link. I'll also post that, but that's kind of a nice little detail. So 6 main categories. So I'm giving you a few to start. Whoops, I missed one down here. I'll update that again. So for you all, you will be looking at your residential house typically, unless you're in a high-rise or something else, but for probably 90% of us, we'll be looking at a house. But for my in-class example, I'm just going to detail out a commercial building just to not give you all the answers in this one. So I really like looking at my section cuts whenever I start building a WBS. Yeah, WBS. This just gives us a clean shot of all the different components of the structure. So I'll be referencing this one as well, but this looks like an underpass of a mall almost. So we've got an underground garage. So I'm just starting to look at the cut sections here too. So it looks like we have a deck as well as some type of framing, probably held up by steel. So I'm just thinking of these broad categories. So I've got a foundation, a superstructure as we call it, but that's really kind of our steel framing. And then in every building, we've got a roof, some type of exterior, and some type of my interior. So really, this section view is a great place to start when we build our WBS. Okay, so with this one in mind, I'll be referencing this back, but I've got a picture up on my other screen as well. You guys can reference this if needed. But we're not going to be creating kind of those generic ones that we will later. I want you to get a little more specific. So the generic ones, and this is a AGC or ASEE, the different standards, just like Architectural Institute, AIA. Anyway, they have a whole bunch of different tiers. So the main ones you hear there are deep foundations, substructure, superstructure, exterior, interior finishes. So they kind of have the different breakdown there, but we're going to get a little bit more specific. Okay, so here we go. Enough lecturing. Let's start building this thing. So be careful. I want to make sure I see these relationship lines. If you do not, just click this until you see those relationship lines. And I want all these to be in that same category. So next lab, we'll kind of get into some sub-tiers, but not tonight. So for all of us, we're just going to get in the habit of creating our first category to be milestones. So every great schedule. The next one, I'm just thinking about that commercial building. So I've got some type of foundation system. And here we're going to organize them. So this is kind of a pain with the WBS. It doesn't organize by number or name. So just click on it, go over here to the right, and move it down. Okay. And I'm just going to add probably 2 more for our example. But you're going to start creating these on your own. So foundation system, great. After the foundations are done, I'm just thinking again, I have some type of wall system, so I'm just making this up, which you can on yours too. It's just about creating, not necessarily making the right names for this lab. So I'm just going to put structural steel framing. And then I've also got in my building, and I like building out my envelope first, so that's really your exterior system and your roof. So once you're dried in on your building, you're going to be starting those interiors. So I'm just going to put my exterior facade. I'm going to add 2 more here. Whoops, be careful. That's okay if it creates a subtier again. We're just going to come over to the right and throw it to the left. So we want all these lining up together. So after my exterior facade, I'm going to go to roof. And after my roof, so these can be occurring at the same time. We're not worrying about that now. I'm going to get in my interiors. So please, please, please don't just copy what I'm doing right here. It's going to be a little bit more specific. Not very, actually. This is pretty decent. But I want you to be thinking about your house. I am thinking about my commercial building here. So this in-class example, I want you to be thinking about where you're living. And if you're in a high-rise or a multifamily apartment, if you want to think about a cabin too or a place you visited, go ahead for this example if you think it's going to be a little simpler. Totally fine. All right, so that's the big part of this lab, is creating these 6 main categories, which I just did. After this, we're going to go ahead and add in the activities. I'm not going to drag you along through my schedule, but I'm just going to go ahead and create probably 5 of these and show you how we link in between our WBS tiers. All right, so now these all look beautiful. I'm just checking my order here, and now I'm going to jump back to my activities tab. Remember, there's always a little lag when we jump from our WBS back to activities. So we're going to go refresh data. It's running. It will show you down here. So loading data. How's my time looking? So hard to see. Sorry, there may be a little glitch in there. I didn't realize I turned it off. So we're going to go up here. I just created 1 activity, and then, well, I'll do this again. Online learning, so fun. Let's delete this. Yes. Okay, so I refresh my data. All these are looking good. So I'm going to go up here and add. So when I add in my milestones, I just want them to look unique so I can filter later. We'll get into that later on in the quarter as well. So I'm going to name this M1000, and this is my notice to proceed. So typically, in our milestone category, we're going to have some type of milestone. So those are going to be our start milestones. We'll get into level of effort probably next lab. But those are really just summary activities or VP level views. So in our foundation system, and yeah, you can name this however you want. So I'm just going to name it FS for foundation system 1000. And I think this is in the example, but I'm just going to put, again, level 3, so we're just using summary activities. So I'm going to do foundation and footings. Perfect. And then structural steel framing. Just thinking generic here, but I'm also thinking I need to get to 25. So we've got columns. Whoops, I didn't rename this one. It's okay. So let's just say SS for structural steel. So I'm just going to add one more in here to show you that this naming convention is staying the same. And we've got beams. So I'm going to kind of finish up just adding in one activity in each just to show us how we can start linking in between our main buckets or in our WBS. I'm going to add one here. So this is our exterior. So EF for exterior facade. Our roof. Whoops, forgot to name that. That's okay. RF. So we've got exterior facade. So I'm just going to put super generic again. Exterior skin. And you're thinking, oh, that's very generic, but you can get into some more detail. So I've got gutters and sheet metal. So again, activities aren't a huge part of this lab. It's more so just your organization and the flow of the schedule. Okay, last act. So roof, I've got, I'm going to think of roof membrane. And then interiors, we're going to add in what usually kicks that off. I'm just going to put MEPs install. So MEPs, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire sprinklers. So MEP FS and whatnot. But we've got a lot of other people involved, whether it be low voltage and on a bigger job. You've got those are. Yeah, low voltage is a big element to that, but we'll go ahead and leave that in here. And just so I can show you, so after MEPs, I'm just thinking about drywall starting, keeping them very generic. Okay, so this is great. So notice to proceed. And just a quick count too. Yes, you can count these, but if you're wondering, oh, how many activities do I have? You can always just jump back to your project view as well. Click on this and you'll see, okay, I'm at 9 activities. That's pretty good for this one. And if you mess up your start date, this is where we're going to adjust it as well. So you can't change your start date when you're in your activity view. You have to go back to the the project's properties. All right. So we're in here. So general, I'm going to change this to a start milestone, and I want this to start on April 13th. So perfect, we're good here. And now I'm just going to start showing you how we can link these a little bit different. So I want my foundation system to start right away. So I'm going to click on my first one, which is notice to proceed. I'm going to hold Control, click on my second activity, right click, link activities. So just be careful here, because if you click the wrong way, let's say here first, here second, right click, link activities, you're going to link them backwards. And let me show you here. And then if you do it again, let's just say you double link them, that allows you to do that. Now you'll see 2 activities. So just be careful when you're doing that. So do not double link them, and be careful the order you click. Remove, oh, ID already. I'm at 20 minutes, a couple more minutes, and we're almost done. Okay, so you can do this click, but just be careful the way you do it. If you want to do it manually, more power to you. So I'm going to go to columns here, click on my assign button, and double click where I want that to go. And you can leave this predecessor, or I really just like to schedule with predecessors, not get into assigning successors. We'll get into that later in the quarter, but let's leave that as is. And then let's just say you feel comfortable doing it this way. You can still be in this and you're assigning the predecessors for them. So you don't need to click this out. Once you click on the different activity here, with this predecessor tab open, you are now linking the predecessor to this highlighted activity. So now I want my beams to be based on my columns. Perfect. My exterior facade will be really based on my whole system being complete, but let's just say it's going to be on my beams. And I'm just clicking down here, scrolling down, so my gutters and sheet metal will be based on exterior skin. Roof membrane, so this is where it gets a little interesting. So typically your roof can usually start at the same time as your exterior facade. So I want my roof, and that's typically when your framer or your structural steel sub is done. So once they say, hey, we're topped out in the building, go ahead, start setting scaffold. If it's a residential multifamily job, it's commercial, go ahead, start bringing in the man lifts, the petty bones to get that material up. So I want my roof to start at the same time as my exterior skin. So a couple different ways to do this. One is to make it a start-start relationship, or just base it off the same activity that the exterior skin started on, if that makes sense. So that's the way I like to do it. So I'm going to go ahead, so I got my roof membrane selected, I'm going to link it to my beams. Perfect. And then my MEPs, yeah, this is kind of different from the companies you'll go work for, but the way I always was trained by our supers and whatnot is once you get that roof on and the exterior skin, that's when you can start a lot of the stuff that can get damaged. So that's our drywall. But MEPs can start once really your facade's up as well. So I'm just going to base my MEPs, or really your structures up. So I'm going to base my MEPs off of my structure as well. And then my drywall, I'm just going to base it off my MEPs. So we've got a pretty good looking schedule here. You can start linking before your whole schedule is built. But the way I like to do it is just how I did right here, is go ahead and add in all your activities first. I haven't even touched durations yet, and I don't really like to until the point I'm at right here. So go ahead and add in your activities. Once all your activities are done, or close to being done, let's say, then go ahead and link. And once our linking's done, I like being able to see, on this right side, a pretty good looking schedule. So from here, I like to adjust. Let's just say we think our foundation system is going to take 2 weeks. Whoops, I'm already thinking about residential, but maybe my commercial building is going to take 3 weeks, so 15 days. And then my columns. And we're always thinking about weeks when we're scheduling, as well as when you're managing on site. So weeks, just start thinking about it as those 5 days. So every 5 days you see in P6 or on our calendar, that accounts for 5 working days, which is a week. So I usually just speak in week terms. So columns, let's say it's going to be 2 weeks. Whoops, easy mistake. Beams can be a little bit quicker. But go ahead, yeah. So again, just build out your schedule, and then you're going to start. And if your schedule's not updating like mine, just make sure, and once you change this once on your desktop, it will change forever until you change it back. Click on your clock, go down here to options, and just make sure the schedule automatically, when change affects dates, is clicked. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to show you to get going. So we're really just focusing on these big WBS categories, just showing you how to create them, how to set them up, as well as just getting proficient with building a new schedule from scratch. So from here, we're just going to go ahead and print this once you get your 25 activities. So with our print views, this was kind of the most comments I got really last week. Just be sure when you go to your page setup over here. So sometimes Bluebeam's a little wonky. So if you go to print first, click on Bluebeam, or just go to any one of your built-in PDF viewers. So I like clicking on Bluebeam first if you have it. So I did that by clicking my print button, making sure it's Bluebeam. Okay. So now that I'm hooked up, whoops, didn't mean to actually print it. Now that I'm hooked up to that printer, just like you would hook up to a printer in any of these labs, we're going to go to format the page that we're printing. So I like it being 11 by 17. And we'll get good at this, but really the two things I'm checking on page is that my time scale is fit to 1 page wide, just so I can see it clearly up there. And then I'm going to adjust the data dates here, or data dates. So yeah, we're 1 week up than we were last week, so I'm going to go ahead and shift this schedule a little bit, maybe even a little bit more. My finish date looks okay, but I want all my text to show up on that right side, so I may push this out a little bit further. And my schedule is not complete, so don't think that these dates are accurate, but this looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and print this. Awesome. Save as a PDF. Save it somewhere that you will find it. And then the next step is really our save as. So we're going to do it here because we're going to build, when is it, week 5, some resources into this very basic or level 3 schedule later on in the quarter. So computer crashes happen, updates happen, so I just want us to be able to import this later on. So we're going to go ahead and save this, which is File, Export. So you don't have to worry about this, but if, let's just say we got this campus open next week, and you were using the computer labs have an 18 version, so I always just like going down to this 15.1 just to keep us safe. So it's an XER file right here. I didn't uncheck anything up here, so I want that to save as an XER. Project, perfect. This is the name, perfect. And then the next thing, it's going to ask us where we want to save it to. So I just clicked on this options bar. And you'll see this is my loaner computer for Reno as well as this class when it's running on campus. So you'll see other people's names in here. So let's just go 422. And I'm going to save this as lab 3 dash. Yeah, you don't even need that. But lab 3 organizing. All right, so that exports. Once we hit save and finish, I just want to show you where that's going to be. So perfect is in my recent docs, but also if I come up here, oops. Oh man, see, I already lost it. Shoot, I didn't really pay attention when I was saving it, but that's okay. I just wanted to show you what it looks like, and as long as this little icon, this P6 icon or emoji showing up, we're good to go. So we can just double click that when you're on a computer with P6 and it will open up that schedule right away. So that is it. I have not posted, but by the time you're all looking at this, I will have a rubric built into this assignment just to show you the main things I'm looking for. So I've outlined it, as well as I'll point them out in the rubric just in case you have any questions, thinking, oh, I'm spending so much time with my activities. I'm not even grading you on your activities in this one. Really, I just want to see your organization, as well as the linking. If you want to make it perfect like mine, the linking should be really not just completely linear or logical, but I want to see some type of logic that you actually thought about, okay, how this house actually get built. I could probably have, let's just say, yeah, residential is typically linear, but you can have 2 or 3 things going on at once a lot of times. So it's not just, let's say, once you get your framing done, yeah, you're going to start your exteriors, but you can also start your roof. And really, you can start some of the interiors as well. So, but that rubric should answer more questions. Please, please, please reach out to me if you have any questions. I do have a grader for this class who's going to be helping me out. That's also why I create these rubrics, just so it's easier for him or her. So if there's any questions about grading, please reach out to me. We're going to try to turn this around pretty quick. So thank you for your time, and yep, have a good day.